Welcome to 805 Focus. I'm Dr. Cinder Sinclair with Nonprofit Connect, and we will be bringing you the latest on your favorite nonprofits. So get ready to be inspired. Our special guests today are Lynn Karlson and Carolyn with the Women's Fund. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sis Josh. I'm so glad you're here because you have a big story to tell. I can hardly keep up with you, doing so many wonderful things after wonderful things. So, Carolyn, are you the chair of the board?
I'm the current chair of the board, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so maybe we'll start with you, and maybe you could tell us about, the mission of the Women's Fund, how you got started, whatever comes to your mind to share about the Women's Fund that you think our audience would like to know. I'd love for you to tell it.
Well, the Women's Fund is a collective giving circle. It started 22 years ago by women who wanted to make philanthropic contributions to the community and realized that they could do more if they joined together. So that's how it started, very simply around a kitchen table with, I think, a dozen women. And now we have 1,451 members, and they all contribute. They contribute money and time and expertise to make this organization work.
1,451, did you say?
Yes, I did.
So a collective giving circle.
Yes.
Do you think there are others?
Oh, there absolutely are. Giving circles are having a moment, but we're one of the largest in the country.
Are
and
you?
Have been around for a long time. So we have a real track record with this. And what we've been able to do is that over the years, we are able to give substantial grants to nonprofits in the community that serve women, children, and families. Every year, we do our own research. So we have a committee that goes out to ask nonprofits what they could do if they had a grant, and then sifts that through to match it up with the concerns of our members. We survey our members to find out what they regard as critical community needs. And then our researchers present a ballot to our members. So our members get to vote either as individuals or as part of groups on who's going to receive the grants. It's very exciting.
Wow. And if I remember correctly, you do a lot of research.
We do. We take it seriously because we feel responsible for all these people who have contributed funds. So we have a responsibility to them to identify the best opportunities. And also we feel a responsibility to our nonprofit community to really make a difference. I mean, to put the funds in a place where they will be used to really help vulnerable people in our community.
Gosh. Okay. Well, we're going to come back to that. That's really so fascinating. And so it seems to me unusual. There might be others in the country, but as you said, you're
We
one
have
of the
a very
largest.
special model. We're very
Yes,
proud of
you
the
do
model
have. That's a
have.
good way to say it.
Yes.
You have a very special
And we're
model.
very responsive to our members. I mean, we really care about what our members think. And lately, I mean, that's part of what Lynn is going to talk about. We have a new initiative that we want to tell you about.
I heard about that new initiative. A little birdie told me. So, Lynn, the Small Grants Pilot Project?
Yes, program. Yes.
Program. So please tell us about that. That's very exciting news.
It is exciting. It's exciting for the Women's Fund, certainly. And we think it's also going to be exciting for the nonprofit sector. And as Carolyn said, we try to really listen to our members, but we also listen to community. What does the community need? What do the nonprofits need? Who are they? What are they working on? And then our members, and what do they really value? And the Women's Fund is really known for its impactful grant making.
Yes.
And what our members were saying is we need a little more flexibility. We'd like to be able to give small grants. Our traditional grants pool, the grants minimum is $50,000, and it can reach 200,000 plus sometimes. So what happens to those small organizations? Organizations typically that get our grants have annual revenues of 500,000 or more. So what's happening to all those small nonprofits in the community that are doing terrific work, sometimes with niche populations, or sometimes with a very innovative approach that's still small? So the community, the nonprofits, and our members all wanted us to try small grants. So that's what we're doing this year. It's a pilot program. The grants will not be $50,000 or up. They will be either a $10,000 grant or a $25,000 grant.
That can be really important to a small nonprofit.
We think so. And it's not just the agency that will be smaller, the grant will be smaller, and so will the grants pool. So this year, the grants pool for our traditional grants
Mm-hmm.
is $1,275,000.
Wow, $1,275,000.
That's yes. And for small grants this year, we've carved out 100,000.
Okay.
So total for the year, $1,375,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're excited about that. But the 100,000 will be set aside for this pilot program for small grants.
I love that. So this pilot program came as a result of you listening. And it sounds like not just listening, but actively soliciting input from members, from the community, paying attention. And that I think is really, really important.
In fact, with our members, we did some focus groups around our research and grant making. We did a survey specifically targeting the questions around our grant making. And it came back with overwhelming results. They'd really like to see us try a small grants program. So that's what we're doing this year. And even though there are some big differences, there are some things that have remained very much the same. So the Women's Fund is not changing its mission. We give grants that to agencies that are addressing critical needs for women, children, and families in South Santa Barbara County.
Okay, so that's the focus. Women, children, families, South Santa Barbara County.
Right, South Santa Barbara County, so Isla Vista through Carpinteria. That hasn't changed. That's true for our traditional grants. That's true for our small grants program. Our members, and again, we pay attention, and through our surveys, we know what they're most interested in. So those critical needs that they're most interested in, community needs, we've identified 9. I can't recite them to you today, but you can find them on our website.
Yes.
Critical community needs. So small grants will also be agencies that are addressing those needs. The other thing is that the Women's Fund is funding agencies that do direct service, as opposed to agencies that are doing pure advocacy.
Okay, gotcha.
We understand that every once in a while somebody will do some advocacy on the side, but we don't fund that. We fund direct service. So that continues to be true for our small grants program as well. So some things are very different. Some things remain very much the same at the core of the Women's Fund.
So that's really fascinating. So if I remember right, with the regular traditional grants, the Women's Fund invites an organization to apply, as opposed to, hey, there's our website, you can apply. Is that right?
That's true, yes.
And with the small ones, then they will be able to go on your website and apply without needing an invitation. Is that correct?
Correct. So the research process for small grants will be simplified.
Okay.
We're known for a very thorough research.
You are.
Yes. And we will want to be thorough. As Carolyn said, we want to be respectful of our donors, of our member donors, but also of the nonprofits, so that we're using our dollars well in the community. But we also know that small agencies oftentimes have very small staff capabilities. And so we're trying to simplify and shorten that application process. So yes, not yet, but beginning in June of this year, they will be able to access an application through our website.
On your website. Okay.
And also through the NPRN, Nonprofit Resource Network. We're also going to have information about the new small grants on their website, and also a link to the application on their website.
Good.
So it'll be 2 different places, and they will have a month to submit the application. It's very simple. It's a form that you fill out right online. And then there are a couple of things that you need to upload as well. But it's a very much simpler process.
Yeah. So then maybe after the first year, you'll evaluate and figure out, if you want to change anything, move forward with the second year, how you're going to approach that?
Yes.
I mean, part of the Women's Fund culture is what we call continuous improvement. So we are always looking for opportunities to do better. We want to help women become more informed philanthropists, so that the money that we put back into the community gets results. And so we hope for that for the small grants as well as the large grants. It's just a different kinds of organizations need different things, and we want to be responsive on multiple levels.
Yeah. And so all of the 1,500 and how many?
1,451.
451 members, all of those members volunteer. I mean, they have the opportunity to volunteer. In other words, nobody's paid.
Volunteer led and managed. We
Yes.
have some expenses for an account,
course, of
and for a
course.
website, but we depend on our volunteers because we want our donor dollars to go back into the community. And so 95 cents of every donor dollar goes to education or to grants. So that means that you put the money into the pot, and within 12 months, it's back in the
Mhm.
community doing good.
Help me understand how membership works. And let's say someone is listening, watching, and they say, "Oh, I think I might want to be a member." What do they do?
We have an interesting structure for membership. In order to vote on the traditional grants, you need to have $2,750 in donation. And some people do that individually, but most of our members band together with friends. It could be a book group, it could be mother-daughter.
Ah.
There are so many different ways that people create groups, and then together they raise that amount of money to get one vote on the ballot. And some of our groups get more than one vote, and then every spring the ballot goes out. And for me, what's exciting is the groups meet together to talk about what are the needs in the community, what are the agencies that are meeting those needs, and we start to share experiences about, my cousin had this experience, or my child knows a friend who, you start to pool your understanding of the community, and you start to deepen your understanding about how these problems can be addressed, and hopefully progress can be made.
Yeah. And how much now? Say that amount again. 2,000.
$750
Is a vote.
is a vote.
Okay.
But what
One vote.
happens,
That's
but
go
what
ahead.
happens then is, as Carolyn said, women come together, and let's say you had 10 women.
Okay.
Each might contribute $275,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got a vote. And
Okay.
so I think what's so exciting and what really inspires us about this model is that you can have, if you've got $275 that you can commit to philanthropy in the community,
Mm-hmm.
you get to participate. You get to have a role in deciding how 1,375,000
Yeah.
is going to be distributed in your community. And we think that's exciting.
That is very exciting. Oh my goodness. And so every year you have a celebration. Is that right?
Our members vote, and then it's all confidential until a date in May, when we go to the Libero Theater and we announce who the grantees are, and then the grantees tell us in their own words how the money is going to make a difference. And it is an extraordinary event. I mean, there's rarely a dry eye. It really.
I've been to many of those. You're right about that.
There will be a much simpler celebration or acknowledgement, however, for small grants.
Right.
Because the celebration of grants is a big undertaking for the Women's Fund.
Mm-hmm.
Cinder, you've been involved with lots of events.
Yes.
So it's a big undertaking for the Women's Fund, but it's also a pretty big undertaking and demanding for the grantees.
Yes.
So we are simplifying that. And so we will do press releases. They will be on our website, but we won't be doing a live in-person celebration for our small grants.
Oh, for the small ones. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that small grant program progresses and all. So I wanted to just ask you, I know that you have a really unusual, intense, whatever word you'd want to say, research process, and a lot of committees and everybody takes their role very seriously because it's important work. So maybe one of you can tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I was part of the research committee before I joined the board. I was the recording secretary for research for 9 years. And so I got to be a fly on the wall and watch the process. And what I saw was that the women who come to the research committee, I mean, many of the Women's Fund members bring extraordinary talents. I mean, they're people who have run companies or run nonprofits or have expertise. They've been involved in academia. And so those tend to be the women who are attracted to the research committee. And then they each are assigned a project. I mean, we do a financial review beforehand to be sure that it's an agency that can appropriately handle a large grant, a sizable amount of money. And then the researchers collaborate to really investigate what are the strengths and weaknesses of the proposals that come in front of them, so that by the time something gets to the ballot, it has gone through a lot of thoughtful analysis. And we try to do this in partnership with agencies, not to make their lives harder, but to push them to really think about, how do you know this is going to work? How do you know this is going to make a difference? How are you going to measure that difference? And so it's a real back and forth of trying to understand, how can we best use the funds that our members, again, have entrusted us with to do something important in our community. And if you go to the Women's Fund website, you will see all the grants that have been made in the last 22 years.
That would be interesting.
And then you get to really see the wide diversity of programs that we've supported. I mean, it's mental health, it's domestic violence, it's, we just did a ribbon cutting for a food truck that we were able to sponsor. So I mean, so many
I read
different
about that one.
so many different grants, and you can really see how they've had an impact in the community.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe you'll see another list maybe next year or so about the small grants.
Absolutely. That's what we hope. I mean, we hope that these grants too, that many people with a good idea just need somebody to really show their faith in that good idea.
Yeah.
On behalf of our members, I mean, we can help with that. We can help them sort of solidify, so that then, as you said, in several years, they may be critical agencies in the community.
That's right. Yeah. So members, you want more members. You welcome more members.
We welcome members. Yes, we do.
And if somebody's interested in finding out more about being a member or how to do it, they can go on the website.
Absolutely. And I think that we've talked a lot about research today because that's why we're here. But if you go to the website, you'll see that we've got lots of different things going on with other committees. Because as Carolyn said, we are still managed by volunteers. We're still running the business. So we have an IT committee. And people that are helping keep that website going and the database going, and that are kind of in the background doing the IT. We have a communications committee. Probably they've been in touch with you about today. That's doing website and media and newsletter communications internally. We have we don't have an HR department, but we do have a volunteer engagement committee. We do have a resource development committee that's looking at our endowment, but also sponsors. We have some business sponsors that donate, helping to keep those member dollars in the grants pool. So we have a lot of opportunities for volunteering for our members and sort of people who have all different kinds of interests.
And so they can find out all those committees on your website.
On the website, and they can go.
And our membership committee, I mean, we also have an events committee that helps us understand better what our grants are doing in the community. And our membership committee will help people who want to be members. If they don't have a group that they want to form on their own, they'll attach them to a group. They'll help them find a community within Women's Fund that they can be part of.
Great. So everyone should consider this to be an invitation to join the Women's Fund.
We would like that.
Okay. Enjoy that. Well, thank you so much for all the important work you're doing in our community, touching so many lives, and for coming on our show to tell our audience all about it today.
Thank you for the opportunity to tell more people about Women's Fund.
Yes. Thank you. And thanks for joining us on 805 Focus, and we'll see you next time.